Chen stumbles through the emergency exit, alarms blaring behind her. The burn on her hand throbs, scanner data safely tucked into her neural implant. Standard issue for high-level xenobiologists since the Mars colony disaster. She has minutes before the Vrolthept realize what she's seen. Outside, New York lies transformed. What was once Central Park has become an architectural abomination. Organic alien structures sprouting from the earth like metallic fungi, pulsing with internal light. The smell is wrong. A sickly sweet odor that makes human lungs work harder. Vrolthept atmospheric modifications have already begun, subtle changes to make Earth more hospitable to them, less to us. Dr. Chen. A voice behind her, human but unfamiliar. Chen whirls, hand instinctively reaching for the sidearm she no longer carries. A middle-aged woman in a maintenance uniform stands 10 feet away, eyes darting nervously between Chen and the temple entrance. We need to move. Now. Who are you? Chen demands, backing away. Resistance. 4th Manhattan cell. The woman's gaze hardens. We've been watching you since you started asking questions about their gods. You need to come with me before they realize what you've done. Chen hesitates. This could be a trap. But the Vrolthept wouldn't bother with such subterfuge. They'd simply take what they wanted. The child, Chen says. The one watching the ceremony. Where is she? Safe. The woman taps an impatient rhythm against her thigh. For now. But the bugs are getting better at detecting neural anomalies. We need to move. A decision forms in Chen's mind. I need equipment. Lab access. This data. She taps her temple where the implant sits. It changes everything we thought about their gods. We have a facility. Underground. Former CDC research station they haven't found yet. The woman glances up as a Vrolthept patrol ship hums overhead, its searchlights sweeping the area. Dr. Reed will want to speak with you directly. Reed? Marcus Reed. Chen feels ice in her veins. The Delta commander. The woman nods, already moving toward a maintenance tunnel hidden behind holographic garbage. The same. He's been gathering people like you. Scientists, military, engineers, people who can help us fight back. Chen follows, thoughts racing. Reed was rumored to have died during the initial invasion. His entire squad vaporized during a last stand in Virginia. If he's alive, if he's organizing, then maybe. A piercing screech fills the air, the Vrolthept alarm signaling human contraband. They've discovered her theft. Run. The woman hisses, pulling Chen into the tunnel as the first sonic pulses shatter windows nearby. Don't stop, don't look back. As they descend into darkness, Chen's mind returns to the child with glowing eyes. The scanner data showed impossible neural patterns, a human brain reconfiguring itself to match alien energy signatures. Symbiotic potential where the Vrolthept saw only food. How many? Chen gasps as they sprint through the tunnel. How many children have shown these symptoms after exposure? The woman's expression is grim in the emergency lighting. Enough to scare the hell out of us. Enough to give us hope. Above them, the city trembles under the weight of alien hunters. But for the first time since the invasion, Dr. Elise Chen feels something dangerous growing inside her. Not just hope, but possibility. Humanity isn't just prey. They might be something far more dangerous. Predators the Vrolthept never saw coming. The child's unsettling pronouncement leaves the council chamber in silence. Chen approaches him carefully, professional curiosity overriding caution. His name is Eli. Reed had told her, orphaned during the Baltimore harvest. Can you show me? She asks, kneeling to meet his luminous gaze. Can you show me what you see? Eli studies her with unnerving intensity. Then, without warning, he places his small palm against her forehead. The contact sends Chen crashing into a kaleidoscope of impossible perception. Stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, minds vast as galaxies reaching across dimensional barriers. Images flood her consciousness, crystalline beings of pure geometric light traveling between stars. exploring, learning, connecting, until exoskeletal hunters trapped them in lattices of sacrificial energy, enslaving entities they could never understand. When Chen comes back to herself, she's on the floor, nose bleeding, ears ringing. Reed helps her up, his face grim. "That's just the echo," he says quietly. The kids get the full broadcast. "They're not gods," Chen whispers, her scientific mind struggling to categorize what she just experienced. "They're explorers, researchers, like us, but evolved beyond physical form. The Vrolthept found them, couldn't communicate with them. So they caged them." The parallel to humanity's own history, of capturing what couldn't be understood, isn't lost on her. Reed guides her to a secure laboratory area, where monitors display brain scans of 27 children. Whatever these entities are, they're changing human neurophysiology. Not just telepathy, we've documented telekinesis, matter manipulation, precognition. One kid in Sacramento can transmute elements. Chen studies the scans with growing excitement. It's symbiotic, not parasitic. The entities gain stable physical anchors. The children gain access to cosmic perception and energy manipulation. She turns to Reed, a dangerous idea forming. "We need to study this further, under controlled conditions." "You're talking about deliberately exposing children to these things." Reed's voice holds a warning edge. "I'm talking about giving humanity a fighting chance." Chen counters, fingers flying over controls to display a new simulation. "Look at the Vrolthept's vulnerabilities. Their rigid hierarchy. Their religious dependence on these entities. If we could communicate with the entities directly, possibly even redirect their energy." "You want to steal their gods," Reed says bluntly. "I want to free imprisoned beings and form an alliance." Chen corrects him, though she knows the distinction may be semantic. The energy transfer is clearly bidirectional. The Vrolthept take, perhaps we can give instead, and receive something greater in return. A commotion outside interrupts them. A new group of refugees arriving from the Toronto Harvest Stone. Chen follows Reed to the intake area, where medical personnel process survivors. Among them, 3 more children with luminescent eyes. "It's accelerating," Reed murmurs. The effect. More kids showing symptoms, faster progression. Almost like the entities are actively seeking compatible hosts now. Chen finishes. They've become aware of the possibility. A communications officer rushes to Reed with an encrypted tablet. "Sir, our European cell just reported in. The Vrolthept are bringing in 12 more containment vessels. They're establishing a major sacrificial temple in the Alps." Reed's expression hardens as he turns to Chen. "How quickly can you set up your symbiosis protocols?" Chen studies the children. Refugees, orphans, victims, now possibly humanity's greatest weapon. "Give me 2 weeks and 20 volunteers," she answers. "We'll need specialized equipment, neural suppressants, containment fields." "And if it fails?" Reed asks quietly. Chen watches Eli across the room, small hands reshaping a metal tray into complex geometric patterns without touching it. "Then we'll have martyrs instead of meshes." Either way, Reed says darkly, the Vrolthept are about to learn that not all sacrifices feed their gods. The makeshift medical bay was once a veterinary hospital. Ironic, Chen thinks, watching Lin float 6 inches above the examination bed. They're all experimental animals now, testing the boundaries between human and something else entirely. Her cellular mitosis rate is off the charts. Dr. Kamala Subramanian reports, sliding a tablet across to Chen. A former cancer researcher from Johns Hopkins, Subramanian now leads the Resistance's medical division. The energy particles are acting like a catalyst, accelerating her evolution on a fundamental level. Evolution toward what? Reed asks from the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He hasn't slept in 36 hours, not since the Beijing operation cost them 8 irreplaceable fighters. Lin's body pulses with internal light that follows a distinct rhythm, like heartbeats, but more complex. Chen studies the pattern, recognizing mathematical sequences that shouldn't exist in nature. I think they've been waiting for us, Chen says quietly. Or something like us. The luminous. They've been imprisoned for so long they forgot what freedom could look like. Until they touched human minds. That doesn't answer my question, Reed presses. What is she becoming? Before Chen can speculate, Lin's eyes snap open. The room's temperature drops 20 degrees instantly. Frost patterns form on the walls. Not random crystals, but precise mathematical fractals that grow and evolve in real time. They come from the void between stars. Lin speaks, her voice layering harmonics that human vocal cords shouldn't produce. They emerge when your ancestors were still swimming in primordial oceans. They explored 1,000 galaxies before the Vrolthep evolved from burrowing parasites. She turns to face Reed directly, her gaze piercing. They've consumed 1 trillion souls unwillingly. The guilt is unbearable. A single tear slides down her cheek, glowing with the same internal luminescence. But I showed them another way. Symbiosis instead of consumption. Partnership instead of theft. And they believed you. Chen asks, fascinated. An entity that ancient trusted a human child. Lin's smile is heartbreaking in its innocence. Children see possibilities adults forget. I showed them humanity's history. How we adapt, how we survive, how we change. How we build families across bloodlines, across species. We're the only beings they've encountered who create bonds rather than hierarchies. A metal surgical tray floats toward her, the instruments disassembling midair into component molecules, then reassembling into a miniature model of what appears to be a crystalline vessel. This is how they traveled between stars before their imprisonment, Lin explains. They can show us how to build them again. Reed steps forward, military instincts warring with wonder. You're suggesting we could. What? Build spaceships with their knowledge. Not ships, Lin corrects. Bodies. Better bodies. Vessels that can travel between stars without technology. They can teach us to evolve beyond what the Vrolthep could ever imagine. Chen's scientific mind races with implications. A directed, accelerated evolutionary leap. We would need more children, Lin says softly. Many more. And we would need to capture more of the bright ones from their temples. The ethical implications hit Chen like a physical blow. They're talking about deliberately transforming children into something beyond human, a new species altogether. There must be another way, she begins. Lin floats higher, her small form now level with the adult's eyes. There isn't. The Vrolthep are calling in their hunter fleets. They've destroyed 17 civilizations before us. What I took from their god's mind. They're frightened now. Of me. Of what we could become. She gestures, and the wall beside them becomes transparent, a window to a cosmos humans have never seen. Dimensions folding, realities overlapping. We have one advantage they don't expect, Lin whispers. Human children don't fear monsters under the bed. We become them. The Montana facility, a repurposed missile silo from the Cold War, hums with activity as Chen finalizes the neural interface designs. What began as theoretical xenobiology has evolved into something approaching religious ritual, and the irony isn't lost on her. They're creating their own gods to fight the aliens who worship false ones. Lin moves between the 20 children, touching each forehead briefly. After her transformation, her abilities have grown exponentially. She can see neural patterns directly, prepare young minds for the shock of first contact with the luminous. The children watch her with awe and no small amount of fear. They've all seen the physical changes in her body. The translucent skin, the eyes that shift through colors that don't exist in the human visual spectrum. I don't like this, Reed says quietly, standing beside Chen at the observation window. We're trusting the fate of our species to creatures we barely understand, using children as conduits. Chen adjusts a parameter on her tablet, monitoring the quantum field stabilizers they've jury-rigged from salvaged Vrolthep technology. The luminous have been honest with us so far. They've provided technological insights that gave us our first real advantages. And what happens when these kids become like Lynn? When they're more luminous than human, will they still care about humanity's survival then? It's the question that keeps Chen awake at night. She's watched Lynn's compassion remain intact despite her transformation, but the sample size of one is hardly scientific certainty. They retain their human memories, experiences, connections. She answers, hoping it's true. Lynn still remembers her parents, still mourns them. The luminous themselves say the hybrid consciousness is something new, neither purely them, nor purely us. The security door slides open as Dr. Subramanian joins them, carrying the secure containment unit. Inside, a fragment of a luminous entity pulsates, harvested from a minor Vrolthep shrine in Tucson during a high-risk operation 3 days ago. This one is weaker than the others, Subramanian explains. Its energy signature suggests it's been depleted through centuries of forced extraction. It may be safer for initial testing. Chen nods, guilt warring with necessity. They're experimenting on both alien entities and human children. History will either condemn them as monsters or celebrate them as saviors, with no middle ground possible. From the training floor, Lynn looks up at them, her perception clearly extending beyond normal limits. It's suffering, she says, voice carrying easily through the reinforced glass. They've been draining it for so long it's forgotten its name, its purpose. Can you communicate with it? Chen asks. Lynn approaches the containment unit, placing a hand on its surface. The entity inside pulses in response, its light patterns shifting from chaotic to ordered. It remembers now, she says softly. It was a teacher. It formed stars, seeded life. The other children gather around Lynn, a silent communication passing between them. Something in their collective stance shifts. No longer test subjects but participants. No longer victims but potential saviors. We're ready, one of the older boys says. Matthew, 13, whose parents were taken in the Dallas harvest. We want to help them. Reed exchanges a long look with Chen. They both recognize the moment for what it is, a point of no return. Once these children bond with the luminous fragments, humanity itself begins to branch evolutionarily. Begin the protocol, Chen says finally. Minimal exposure for the youngest ones. Full neural monitoring throughout. As the technicians prepare the specialized chamber, Lynn gathers the children in a circle, guiding them through meditative techniques developed over months of trial and error. Don't be afraid of what you'll become, she tells them. Remember who you are now, and carry that with you. That's the gift we give the bright ones. Memory of what it means to be human. The entity in the containment unit pulses faster, its light growing stronger as if in anticipation. Chen wonders if it's hope she's seeing or hunger. The retrieval team arrives at the Resistance's Colorado base 12 hours after the Norway operation. Chen waits in the hangar as the transport touches down, medical team standing by. The mission succeeded, but the cost was steep. 7 children lost, 13 returning. Lynn exits the transport first, no longer walking but gliding, her feet never touching the ground. Behind her come the other transformed children, each changed in unique ways. Some bear visible mutations, skin textured with geometric patterns, eyes that shift between colors, limbs that occasionally phase through solid matter. Others show no external changes yet but move with uncanny coordination, as if their individual bodies are merely parts of a single organism. Nithragla showed us everything, Lynn tells Chen as they walk toward medical quarantine. 5 million years of enslavement. The Vrolthep evolved as burrowing parasites on a world circling a dying star. They discovered the first luminous when it came to study their sun's decay. They couldn't understand its nature, so they trapped it, experimented on it. One of the boys, Jonas, only 9 years old, continues the story as if they share a single consciousness. They learn to extract energy through sacrifice. The neural shock of a dying sentient creates a ripple that the luminous can't help but absorb. The Vrolthep built their entire civilization on harvesting that energy. In the quarantine bay, Dr. Subramanian conducts preliminary examinations. Her instruments struggle to make sense of the children's altered physiology. I'm detecting quantum field fluctuations that shouldn't be possible in biological systems, she reports. Their cellular structure is reorganizing on a fundamental level. One of the returning children, a girl named Sasha, 13, sits unnaturally still on an examination table. Her body occasionally blurs at the edges, as if she exists in multiple locations simultaneously. We can see them now, she says, staring at the wall, but clearly perceiving something beyond it. All of them. All the temples. All the imprisoned bright ones. They're calling to us, another child adds. Chen's tablet chimes with an urgent alert. Satellite imagery shows unprecedented Vrolthept activity. Ships moving into defensive formations around their major temples, new weapons being deployed. They know, Reed says, reviewing the data. Somehow they've realized what happened in Norway. Lynn's expression remains serene despite the implications. Of course they know. Their God-mind network is connected. When we freed Thragla, all the others felt it. They're afraid now. She turns to Reed. They've never been afraid before. Not in 5 million years of conquest. Chen studies the transformed children with a mixture of scientific fascination and human dread. The knowledge they absorbed from the luminous entity is already proving tactically invaluable. Locations of Vrolthept bases, weaknesses in their defenses, the true nature of their technology. But the cost is visible in the 7 empty spots where children should be standing. 7 who didn't survive the transformation, whose bodies couldn't contain the cosmic energy they absorbed. We need to understand what happened to the ones we lost, Chen says quietly to Reed, before we attempt this again. Lynn overhears, her perception extending beyond normal limits. They aren't lost, she says, her voice resonating oddly. They've simply transcended physical form entirely. They're with the luminous now, helping to coordinate what comes next. And what is that? Reed asks. The 13 transformed children turn as one to face him, their eyes glowing with identical patterns of light. War, they say in perfect unison, but not like any war humanity has ever fought. One of the youngest children, Emma, barely 8, approaches Chen. When she speaks, her voice carries the weight of ancient wisdom layered beneath her childish tones. We're sorry about what comes next, she says, taking Chen's hand. The others wanted you to know that. What comes next? Chen asks, suddenly cold. Evolution, Emma answers simply. Painful, necessary evolution. Chen has never seen the ocean this color. A midnight blue tinged with bioluminescent purple, where Vrolthept environmental modifications have taken hold. The Aldari submersible cuts through the depths with impossible silence, its technology centuries beyond humanity's best efforts. Their bodies are primarily silicon-based, the Aldari ambassador explains, compound eyes reflecting Chen's face in fractured repetition. The Vrolthept hunted them nearly to extinction on their homeworld before the remainder fled to Earth's oceans. You've been hiding here since before our recorded history, Chen realizes, studying the elegant crystalline architecture of the hidden city beneath the Indian Ocean. Massive domes house thousands of the translucent beings, their elongated limbs moving with fluid grace through water and air alike. Observers, not participants, the ambassador corrects. Until now. In the central chamber, Reed recovers in a regeneration pod. Aldari medical technology repairing internal injuries that would have been fatal hours ago. Through the translucent healing gel, his eyes track Chen's movement, alert despite his immobility. The luminous were our teachers once, the ambassador continues, leading Chen to a chamber whose walls display moving images of ancient history, vast crystalline ships traversing space, Aldari and luminous working in harmony. We helped them build the dimensional bridges they use to explore realities beyond our perception. When the Vrolthept came, we tried to protect them, but our technology was insufficient. And now, Chen asks, why help us after hiding for so long? The ambassador's mouth parts in what might be their version of a bitter smile. Because your children have achieved what we could not. True symbiosis. The Vrolthept fear them more than they ever feared us. A communication officer interrupts. Another Aldari, more heavily modified with cybernetic implants. Orbital scans complete. The Vrolthept have deployed hunter-killers to all major population centers. They're implementing what translates as Protocol Final Sacrifice. The ambassador's compound eyes darken. They intend to harvest your entire species at once. A mass sacrifice to empower their pantheon beyond any previous levels. Chen feels ice in her veins. How many? All remaining human populations. Approximately 2 billion of your people. Before Chen can process the horror, a disturbance ripples through the chamber. Aldari technicians move aside as a young human girl enters, but not entirely human anymore. Sophia, one of the Norway survivors, now glides rather than walks, her eyes pulsing with internal light. Behind her follows Lynn, her transformation even more pronounced. Her lower body now entirely composed of swirling energy barely maintaining human shape. We felt it, Sophia says without preamble. The order came from their homeworld. High Priest Vizkrol himself authorized the final protocol. Lynn's form flickers like interference on an old television. The children are mobilizing. All of them, even the untrained ones. Untrained. Reed's voice comes through an Aldari translation device, his body still immobilized in the healing pod. What untrained children? Lynn turns to him, her expression simultaneously ancient and childlike. The ones who were exposed during ceremonies but escaped. The ones who've been hiding their abilities. They're everywhere, in harvest camps, in processing centers, in the temples themselves. Hundreds of them. And they're awakening. The ambassador makes a gesture Chen can't interpret, and the chamber's walls shift to display global surveillance. Across Earth, patterns of light bloom in unexpected places, the molecular signature of luminous energy manifesting in human hosts. It wasn't just the children we deliberately exposed. Chen whispers, understanding dawning. The compatibility is spreading through the population naturally. Evolution accelerated by necessity. Lynn confirms, the luminous have been whispering to receptive minds, while the Vrolthept weren't looking. Teaching. Preparing. Sophia approaches the tactical display, her small finger tracing patterns across continents. The Vrolthept think they're about to eliminate humanity once and for all. Her voice takes on harmonics no human vocal cords should produce. Instead, they're about to face a species they don't recognize anymore. A proximity alert sounds through the Aldari command center. On the surface, miles above, Vrolthept hunter ships have begun systematic bombardment of the ocean, searching for the resistance they know must be hiding somewhere. They're coming, the ambassador says unnecessarily. Lynn's form stabilizes, resolve hardening her features into something more alien than human. Good. Let them come and see what their gods have made of us. In the ruins of Washington, D.C., Lynn faces death for the first time since her transformation. Vrolthept elite warriors surround her, their specialized weapons, oscillating phase disruptors designed specifically to destabilize hybrid physiology, actually managing to hurt her. The weapons were developed from data gathered from captured and dissected hybrid children, a fact Lynn senses in the energy patterns emanating from the technology. Blood that shimmers with internal light drips from wounds that refuse to close. Her connection to the luminous energy wavering. Lynn stumbles backward. The Vrolthept commander, carapace decorated with the bones of hybrid children, advances with ceremonial precision. Your aberration ends here. The commander's translation device crackles. The gods reject your perversion of their essence. Lynn feels her consciousness fragmenting, her human form struggling to contain the cosmic energy that's become part of her being. Physical pain, something she hasn't experienced since her transformation, clouds her perception. Then, in the darkness of near defeat, she feels them. Hundreds of minds reaching for hers across continents, across oceans. The hybrid children, sensing her distress through their collective psychic network, respond instinctively. From safe houses, from Aldari shelters, from resistance bases, They project fragments of their consciousness toward her. In Beijing, a 12-year-old boy named Wei collapses in the middle of his training session, his mind joining with Lin's across thousands of miles. In the Australian outback, twins Abby and Aiden, barely 7, reach out together, their combined strength bridging the vast distance. In an Aldari underwater sanctuary, 23 hybrids form a circle, channeling their energies in perfect synchronicity. Lin's physical form begins to change as their collective power flows into her. Her wounds close, her body grows luminous, expanding beyond human proportions. The Vrolthept warriors step back, insectoid features registering alarm as their target transforms before them. "You call us aberrations." Lin's voice resonates across the ruined city, now layered with hundreds of other voices speaking in perfect unison. "But we are evolution itself." Her form towers over the temple complex, a being of pure energy that maintains only the suggestion of human shape. The air around her crackles with potential, reality itself bending to accommodate her expanded consciousness. With a gesture that ripples through space-time itself, she reaches toward the Vrolthept mothership in orbit. Distance means nothing to her expanded consciousness. Her influence extends beyond physical limitations. War Priest Guzal, watching from the command deck, feels something impossible, the psychic touch of a being more powerful than any god in their pantheon. Through the ship's viewports, he watches as the hybrid's energy form extends into space itself, tendrils of light wrapping around his vessel. Metal groans as molecular bonds begin to fail. The ship, 20 kilometers of living metal and bone, shudders as its structural integrity compromises. Emergency alarms wail as atmospheric containment breaches in 17 sectors. Lin's consciousness, amplified by hundreds of hybrid minds working in concert, pierces the Vrolthept's most secure communications channels. Her message bypasses encryption, overrides neural interfaces, reaches every Vrolthept mind connected to their network. "We offered you peace." Her collected voices resonate globally, in all minds, in all languages simultaneously. "You chose extinction." In the Resistance Command Center, Chen and Reed watch satellite imagery in stunned silence as the Vrolthept mothership, the heart of their invasion force, begins to disintegrate in orbit. Massive sections tear away, vaporizing as their atomic bonds simply cease to exist. "My God," Reed whispers, "what have we created?" Chen has no answer. The children they sought to protect have become something beyond protection, beyond control, beyond human understanding. Through her neural link to the hybrid network, a limited connection she established to monitor their development, she feels their collective resolve. This is not vengeance or bloodlust driving them, but a cold certainty. The Vrolthept cannot be allowed to continue their cosmic harvesting. As the mothership breaks apart in Earth's orbit, Lin's consciousness returns to her physical form in Washington. The Vrolthept warriors lie motionless around her, their neural systems overloaded by her psychic assault. She looks up at the sky where debris burns on re-entry, a meteor shower of alien technology raining down on the planet. "It's begun," she says, her voice her own again, but forever changed. The Great Communion. As the Ascended prepare to depart Earth, pursuing the retreating Vrolthept fleet across interstellar space, Chen makes her final documentation. History requires witnesses, and she has appointed herself chronicler of humanity's most profound transformation. Central Park, once a showcase of Vrolthept dominance, now reclaimed as something neither human nor alien, has become the gathering point. The crystalline structures grow and shift in real time, responding to the thoughts of the Ascended who move among them. Ordinary humans watch from a respectful distance, both awed and terrified by what their children have become. "They'll still need you," Chen tells Reed as they observe the preparations, not for protection anymore, but for memory, to remind them of what it means to be human. Reed's expression is complex, pride warring with grief, hope with uncertainty. The past 2 years have aged him visually, but hardened his resolve. Will they remember? Once they're out there among the stars, will they still care about us? Lynn approaches, her form now composed of only 17% conventional matter. When she moves, space-time ripples around her like water disturbed by a stone. The other Ascended communicate telepathically, but Lynn still speaks aloud for the benefit of her human companions. "We're going after them," she tells Chen, her voice simultaneously coming from everywhere and nowhere. "Not for revenge. To free the remaining captive Luminous on their homeworld, and throughout their empire." "How many are joining you?" Chen asks, her scientific mind still attempting to quantify the unquantifiable. 500 directly. The rest will maintain the network here, protecting Earth while continuing the transformation of those who are compatible. Lynn gestures to where younger children practice manipulating matter with their minds, their bodies showing the early signs of transformation. Every human carries the potential. Not all will choose to activate it, but the option now exists within your species' genetic memory. Chen watches as the Ascended gather in formation above Manhattan's ruins, preparing to pursue the retreating Vrolthept across interstellar space, without ships, without protection, as living vessels of cosmic energy. Some are as young as 8, their small frames now housing the power of gods. "I never meant for this to happen to children," Chen whispers, tears streaming down her face. "I just wanted us to survive." Lynn's touch, warm light rather than flesh, rests briefly on Chen's shoulder. "We're still children," she says with a smile that momentarily shows the human girl she once was. "But we're also something else now. Something necessary." As the Ascended begin to rise higher, their forms shifting further from human appearance, Chen feels the weight of her responsibility. She has acted as midwife to the birth of a new species, part human, part cosmic entity, with potential beyond comprehension. One of the youngest Ascended, Emma, now 10, breaks formation to float down to Chen. The child's body glows with internal light, but her eyes remain recognizably human. "Don't be sad, Dr. Chen," she says, her voice layering multiple harmonics. "We'll come back. Earth is our home." Emma presses something into Chen's hand, a small crystalline structure that pulses with gentle light. "To remember us by, and to call us if you need us." Chen clutches the crystal as Emma rejoins the others. The formation of Ascended begins to glow brighter, their forms blurring as they accelerate beyond normal physics. In a flash of light that temporarily outshines the sun, they'd vanish, not traveling through space, but transcending it entirely. Reed steps closer to Chen as they squint at the empty sky. "Do you think the Vrolthept understand what's coming for them?" Chen studies the crystal in her palm, feeling the gentle pulse of connection to minds now traveling between stars. She thinks of how the aliens viewed humans from the beginning, as prey, as sustenance, as a weaker species fit only for sacrifice. "No," she says finally, "they thought us weak until the very end. That was their first mistake, and it will be their last." In her mind, through the crystal's connection, she feels the distant acknowledgement of 500 Ascended minds as they approach the first Vrolthept colony world. They carry with them not the wrath of conquerors, but something the Vrolthept cannot comprehend. The compassion of beings who remember being human, combined with the cosmic understanding of entities who have touched the infinite. "They thought us weak," Chen reflects, "until we fed their gods to our children and gave birth to gods of our own."